National Security Department makes arrests over alleged military-style drills. Verdict on Jimmy Lai's national security trial will come next Monday. And Chief Executive appoints Judge David Locke to head independent committee to probe the typo fire. Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. The National Security Department of the police force arrested 9 local men for allegedly conducting illegal military-style training under the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance. It's the first time an arrest has been made over unlawful drilling under the ordinance. Samantha Lee tells us more.
During the operation, the police seized 5 suspected air guns, including what are believed to be rifles and pistols. There were also suspected converted daggers, a long sword, combat equipment, and suspected explosive devices. The National Security Department said it received reports from a resident at the beginning of this year that suspected military drill-style activities were being carried out in an industrial building in Sampo Kong. The police raided the flat on Thursday evening and arrested 6 young men, aged between 20 and 25. 3 other young men were later apprehended in Tuen Mun and Yau Ma Tei. All of them were accused of unlawful drilling. The detainees said they are clerks, security guards, and restaurant workers.
At this stage, our evidence indicated that they have a conduct time of the training. Something like our police officers, at least 1 or maybe 2 per person was arrestee having appeared in the area for typo or for the fire disasters. I would like to highlight that what they dress like is all the something like the activists we commonly appeared on the ground during the 2019 incidents in the riot. I mean the riot. So what are they doing? That's a part of the investigation.
This is the first arrest made over unlawful drilling under Section 13 of the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance. Offenders face up to 7 years in prison. If the activity is linked to external force, criminals could be sentenced to 10 years in prison.
If the trainings or the drillings is solely for the leisure purpose, that will be an excuse for them. So that's a very important. If some people, if they enjoy their weekend for the war game, that definitely is not the illegal drilling.
Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Jimmy Lai, founder of Next Digital, is on trial for violating the Hong Kong national security law. The verdict is scheduled for next Monday. According to the judiciary's website, the hearing is scheduled for 10 a.m. next Monday and is expected to take 60 minutes. Jimmy Lai, along with 3 companies related to Apple Daily, is charged with violating the Hong Kong national security law, including conspiring to collude with foreign or external forces and publishing seditious publications. The trial lasted 156 days, with the closing arguments completed at the end of August. Chief Executive John Lee said that Judge David Locke will lead an independent committee to investigate the deadly typo fire. Lee said the committee will submit an investigation report in 9 months. Mimo Singhai reports.
In the aftermath of the typo tragedy, the government announced the setting up of an independent committee chaired by a judge. Speaking to the media on Friday, the CE said David Look, who is the head of the Electoral Affairs Commission, will lead the committee. Chen Gimbo, a legislator and a member of the Executive Council, and Rex Sawyer, chairman of the MTR Corporation, are appointed committee members. The committee will examine issues such as what started the blaze, why it spread so quickly, one food cost fire safety standards, and how the maintenance work was supervised. Committee members will also investigate whether the city's large-scale building renovation projects have involved collusion, bid rigging, and corruption. The committee will submit reports within 9 months. The CE said that judicial powers could be given to the committee to aid their investigation in specific areas.
The independent committee is given sufficient means to maneuver, while ensuring the examination is just, they can streamline procedure, give them more flexibility, so that they can finish their work within the 9 months.
David Look, the committee chairman, said that he understands his responsibilities are heavy.
I think we will start the investigation as soon as possible. But on the other hand, we have to obtain some legal advice, some support from our legal team before we explore which area to investigate.
Look said he would resign from the Electoral Affairs Commission if necessary. News 9, TVB News.
The Housing Department has started removing scaffolding netting from some of the blocks at Wang Fuk Court in Tai Po. Samantha Lee has more.
More than 2 weeks have passed since the deadly fire took place in Wang Fuk Court in Tai Po. Scaffolding nettings from 3 blocks there, Wan Chuan House, Wan Tai House and Wan Sun House, were being pulled down. Dangly bamboo sticks were taken away one by lorries with cranes. The operation came following the implementation of the scaffolding netting removal mandate across the city, after the government found fraudulent nettings and safety certificates at the housing estate, where a fatal blaze broke out last month and claimed at least 160 lives. Yesterday, the Development Bureau announced a new set of rules for all buildings undergoing major repair works and new projects. Contractors are required to provide certificates proving the scaffolding netting on buildings is fire retardant. Random samples will have to go through a test at government-designated laboratories. The entire batch of nets will be disqualified if any sample fails the test. The authorities noted that contractors have to shoulder the cost for net removal and reinstallation, unless otherwise specified in the contract. Some contractors expect the reinstallation cost may go up to $200,000 for each 30-story building. Permanent Honorary President of Hong Kong General Building Contractors Association Terence Ng said different stakeholders in the industry are still assessing the new arrangement and hopes the government could provide assistance to companies struggling to comply with the new rules. He also believes the construction period may be lengthened due to the reinstallation of netting. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The UK's National Health Service has reported a surge in superflu infections. The number of patients in hospital rose 55% in the past week. Danny Zhou reports.
British Health Secretary Wes Streeting has warned the challenge was unlike any it has seen since the pandemic. In the week after Sunday, an average of 2,660 patients were in a hospital bed with flu, the highest year on year. BBC reported that a mutated strain of the influenza A virus subtype H3N2 is behind the outbreak, which the general public is less immune to. The report also pointed out that kids aged from 5 to 14 have the highest positivity rate, while the highest hospitalization rates are among under 5s and elders of 75 and above. The infection cases are still growing, officials said, and the average number of hospitalized patients per day could top 5,000 by the end of this week. The British medical authorities urged influenza vaccination intake. The mask rule has already resumed in some hospitals. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Keir Starmer said resident doctors in the country, half of whom are due to go on a 5-day strike from next Wednesday, would be irresponsible if they push ahead with the plan at this critical moment. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Still ahead, Uber CEO wants flexibility on cap of total number of vehicles providing online ride-hailing services. Thailand's Prime Minister dissolves parliament, paving the way for a snap election. Welcome back. Ride-hailing platform Uber on Friday said that the company supports the government's decision of implementing a framework to regulate Hong Kong's ride-sharing industry. The company said they hope authorities will be flexible in relation to the cap on the total number of vehicles providing online ride-hailing services. Mimo Singhai reports.
In October, the government introduced an ordinance to regulate the city's ride-hailing services. Under the regulation, the ride-hailing vehicles must fulfill several criteria, including holding appropriate third-party risk insurance and being driven by its registered owner who offers the service. Drivers, meanwhile, must be at least 21 years old and have no serious traffic convictions in the past 5 years. Speaking to the media on Friday, Uber, the ride-sharing platform which has been operating in the city for more than a decade, said they welcome the regulatory system.
We're hoping to have a quota system that is dynamic and is essentially designed for the growth that we see in the market going forward. We're having constructive dialogue with the regulators at this point.
The CEO said the company hopes to offer autonomous driving services to Hong Kong customers in the future.
Autonomous drivers are going to be safe. They don't get distracted. They don't get tired.
Moments 9, TVB News.
Thailand's parliament has been dissolved for new elections early next year. This as the country remains engaged in clashes with Cambodia over long-disputed border claims. Thai Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul said he will discuss the conflict with U.S. President Donald Trump today. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Thailand's parliament was dissolved on Friday for new elections early next year in a country engaged in deadly fighting with Cambodia. Thai Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul told reporters in Bangkok his decision was based on the main opposition People's Party's withdrawal of support in parliament. He was speaking at Government House, where he also presided over a merit-making ceremony in tribute to Thailand's Queen Mother Sirakit, who died in October. Anutin won the September vote in Parliament with support from the People's Party in exchange for a promise to dissolve Parliament within 4 months and organise a referendum on the drafting of a new constitution by an elected constituent assembly. The election must be held 45 to 60 days after the royal endorsement. His action comes at a tricky political moment as Thailand is engaged in large-scale combat with Cambodia over long-disputed border claims. US President Donald Trump had pushed the two countries to agree on a ceasefire by threatening to withhold trade privileges from them. Meanwhile, locals in Cambodia near the border with Thailand are stuck waiting for news of when they could return home. About 24 people were reported killed in the fighting this week. Hundreds of thousands have been displaced on both sides. Daniel TV News.
U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States will send a representative to Europe to participate in talks on Ukraine this weekend if there is a good chance of making progress on a ceasefire deal. A major sticking point in the deal is the issue of ceding territory to Russia. These would become special economic zones. Tracy Furness reports.
Speaking via video link to European allies, President Zelensky said he is ready to hold elections called for by President Trump if international partners ensure the safety of candidates and voters.
We are ready to work with President Trump in any format. And if President Trump is speaking more about elections in Ukraine, I want to say this very openly. We can try to hold elections. Ukraine is not hiding from democracy, but to make elections possible, there must be a security component, and America can help with this the most.
Zelensky added, in order for elections to take place, there must be a ceasefire.
If there is a need for elections now, there must be a ceasefire at least during election process and during voting, and this is something that must be discussed. And honestly, we think here in Ukraine that America should speak to the Russian side about this.
This as the White House has expressed frustration with the pace of talks as Ukraine continues to balk at a provision in Trump-authored peace plan that calls for Kyiv to give up land to Russia in the Donbass that Russians haven't even captured.
Well, there's 4 or 5 different parts. It's, a little bit complicated because you're cutting up land in a certain way. It's not the easiest thing. It's sort of like a complex real estate deal times 1,000, right? But it's a deal that would have stopped the killing of thousands of lives every month.
Meanwhile, in Moscow's upscale entertainment district, Petriki, famous for its high-end eateries, Russia's war with Ukraine is taking its toll on the economy. Instead of posh restaurants like before, cheaper coffee shops are now popping up. This woman said restaurants are closing down now. Why? Because restaurants are very expensive here, because rent is insanely expensive on the ground floors of buildings. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
In China, Beijing ushered in its first snow of the season as the cold wave triggered temperature dips in northern China. Beijing saw a citywide snowfall around midday. It's come 10 days later than previous years. Like a scene from a fairy tale, snowflakes drifted from the sky and coated the landscape with a white blanket measured at 5 to 8 centimeters deep. Strolling in the long-awaited snow scene of the Forbidden City is like going back in time. Commuters making their way around the city expressed concerns about slushy roads and traffic jams. The cold air has sent temperatures plummeting to lows of minus 10 degrees Celsius. The once-a-decade Shatin Nine Clans Tai Ping Ching Chu Festival will be held for 5 days starting Saturday. Danny Zhou reports.
The event is said to have begun in 1875. A stage capable of accommodating 1,800 people has been under construction for 2 months. A 2-meter tall incense stick and candle stand are used to enshrine a 10-meter tall statue of the Ghost King. Mo Kam Kwai, chairman of Shatin Rural Committee, said Shatin has 9 clans, which refer to agreements formed between villages in the past when pirates or bandits roamed the area. When any village had an emergency, a gong would be sounded and everyone would rush to the scene. Mr. Mok said there was once a plague in Shatin. The elders invited a god called Che Kong to participate in a procession. After the procession, the plague disappeared. At that time, it was agreed that a ritual would be held every 10 years. One of the unique features of the event is the simultaneous inclusion of Taoist and Buddhist ceremonies. The organizers expect approximately 50,000 participants and hope to further promote this tradition and attract more people from outside the district. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.